Each chapter has a particular theme, especially when it comes to the vocabulary. Okay? And so, looking at 22 y 23, let's open this up here. The theme para este capítulo es la clase, sí. Now, en español, all right, either sala de clase or salón, and that's O con acento. Sala de clase or salón de clase means classroom. Okay? So, estamos aquí en la sala de clase. Okay? I'm going to use sala because that's the word in the book. If I slip into salón, that's because that's the word I learned when I was pequeño, Santos. Okay? So, en la sala de clase. Now, it gives you vocabulary. It doesn't give you the meaning, but it does attempt to give you some semi-decent illustrations that will hopefully help you in determining what it means. But I do go over it, okay? We'll have fun with this together, okay? So, still no music, still no guitar. I'm still not going to sing, all right? Pero, and I brought props. La pizarra. What is la pizarra?
Chalkboard.
Chalkboard, blackboard, whiteboard, any kind of board, okay, is la pizarra, all right? Now, yes, they did put a traditional old school blackboard, but there is also a whiteboard in this same illustration. We still use the word la pizarra, okay? El borrador. What is el borrador? Eraser. Okay, now, it isn't just this. If you have a lápiz, it's also the thing that's on the back of it. Or if you have the big, those old pink salmon-colored ones, okay? That is also a borrador, okay? Now, be careful. Ojo, cuidado. Borrador also means draft, like the first draft of a paper. So if you're going to look it up on Google Translate because you forgot the word or you couldn't remember if it was with like a B or a D or a Q, be sure that you're reading the right one, okay? Borrador means eraser, but it can also mean like a first draft, a second draft, etc. Okay? And then finalmente, I am always asking this because it's hard to find, y no me gusta, la tiza. La tiza. Chalk. Okay, la tiza. Okay, moving on. There used to be a room with these, but I think they're long gone. If you look to the right on the wall, el mapa. What is el mapa? Yeah, map. That one I was going to say should be relatively easy. Gracias, Liliana. And then el calendario. Calendar, el calendario, yeah. I think this is more of an elementary school classroom, all right? Because as you can see, all right, our rooms are rather Spartan. There's not very many things. Oh, but I did bring one of these. La pantalla. La pantalla. What is this? Gracias, screen. I know, this is old-fashioned. I mean, we're used to the rooms with the smart board now, but screen, okay? This is a screen. Now, we use this also for example, this part, the entire thing is el monitor, but this part is la pantalla, the screen. Or if you're talking about the screen on your laptop, all right, la pantalla, or if I drop my phone and I have a cracked pantalla. I don't. I take good care of it. But I've seen some of your guys' phones, a cracked pantalla. Aaliyah's like, okay, Santo, shut up. All right, la pantalla. Okay, so we use the same word. All right. Muy bien. Even though it's not there, it is part of our room. but it's a pretty easy word. Because when it comes to technology, technology is typically faster than language. So guess what this is? El proyector. Okay? Yeah, we kind of pronounce it with a Y instead of a J, or yeah, projector. Whatever, I can't spell. But el proyector, and it's masculine. We make all technology masculine.
How do you spell that? Should I just look it up on Google?
Proyector, el proyector.
You said it was all masculine, but it says la tableta.
There's some exceptions, okay? Tableta, because it's the word tablet, and tablet was tablets before we had, those tablets, okay? Although a lot of people, when they do refer to, they say el tablet as opposed to la tableta. So it just depends on the person, but obviously your book wants you to make it feminine, okay? The other vocab word that also requires you to look up, por favor, las luces, or la luz. Lights, la luz. Okay, la luz. All right, let's look at los estudiantes. Okay, so if you look in front of the chalkboard, all right, and this is where Natalia found the word, okay. We already know that estudiante is a student. If you're talking about a male student, el estudiante. If you're talking about a female student, la estudiante. I erased it. La is the feminine form of the, just like el is the masculine form of the. Okay? La tableta, if you have an iPad, if you have what is that one? The Galaxy, the Samsung Galaxy. If you have any kind of tablet, okay, and even if it's one of those that you attach you attach a keyboard and it becomes a laptop, you take it off and now you just you can still call it just like la tableta, okay, any kind of tablet computer, okay. If you go over then further to the right, el chico or el muchacho.
Boy.
Yeah, boy, but typically it refers to a little older sometimes, okay, not so much like a toddler, but it could refer to anyone from like the age of 7 to 18, and because I am old, I will still refer to some of you guys as chicos, okay, because you are younger than me, and so then what would la chica be? Girl, okay, and same age range, okay, either chica or muchacha. FYI, in Mexico, they say muchacho, muchacha, and so I used to say that when I was younger, but having now lived and traveled in other Spanish-speaking countries, I've kind of switched over to chico and chica, just because, I don't know, seems normaler. But be aware that in Mexico, chico and chica also means small, okay? So if you say, oh, es a chico, and people will be like, the small what? Just some slight differences between countries, okay? Here we go. La computadora. Computer. Now, when we use la computadora, we're talking about one of these dinosaurs. Okay? We add the word portátil, which literally means portable, to talk about what Aiden has, what Aaliyah has, what Liliana has, okay, what Say has, okay? What do we mean by la computadora portátil? Laptop, okay? Yeah, I know. We just call it a portable computer, all right? Which makes more sense, because you guys don't even put them on your laps anymore. All right, that's where it got its name originally, okay? Moving on, like I said, with one of my props, el libro de texto.
Textbook.
Textbook, okay? If you're just taught, and some students are like, what's it? Textbook is the book that you need for class, el libro de texto. If it's just any over, did I bring a regular book? No, olvidé. Just any old regular book, okay, is el libro. Okay, just un libro. Okay? I don't use these. El lápiz.
Pencil.
Pencil. Does anyone have a lápiz? Ah, muy bien. Okay, one of the fancy ones though. Not the old school yellow.
I still have some at home.
So do I. I just don't use them that often anymore. El lápiz. Okay. Ah, here we go. La mochila. La mochila. Backpack or book bag. Whatever it is that you want to call it. Okay. Thank you, Aaliyah, for bringing yours today. Even these are sometimes called la mochila, even though it's more of a computer bag. Okay. But you know, la mochila, la mochila, la mochila. Okay, for your backpack, okay? La pluma,
Pen.
pen, okay? You gave me a look, Ellen.
It was a boligrafo yesterday.
It was,
Lunes.
it was, because there are 7 different words in Spanish that mean pen. Liliana's like, what?
I know pen.
Depending on where you are from, okay? Now, your textbook wants you to use pluma, which is fine. And honestly, that's the word I grew up using, pluma, all right? That's what they use in Mexico. But once again, once I lived and traveled in other countries, bolígrafo is more common, okay? So if you learned bolígrafo, that's fine. That's actually what I call it, you know, like 99% of the time. Sometimes I'll use pluma when I'm talking to like my sisters and stuff, because that's the word they understand. But there's about 5 other words that also mean pen, okay? You do not need to know them.
The illustration in the book, that's what they call a fountain pen, right?
Yeah.
Is there actually that distinguished?
Yeah, because if you look over at the guy in the blue sweater, in front of him he has a bolígrafo,
Yeah.
and so some people, I'm not one of them, are like, no, bolígrafo is a ballpoint pen,
And a pluma is a
where
fountain pen.
pluma is yeah, okay. The reason why they make that distinction is pluma is actually the Spanish word for feather. Because back in the olden days, what did you write with? A feather that you dipped in ink, and then a fountain pen, you stuck it and you sucked up the ink, and then, you know.
So does it matter which one you use or?
No. No. It doesn't matter. You can use either one. You can use one of the other 5 if you actually learned it. When I lived in South America, they called it a lapicera, which is like the word pencil. But, and here's another one for you. You don't need to know this one. This is just me going off on a tangent. Lapis is your normal pencil, okay? Your yellow number 2 pencils. But what Liliana has is technically a lapicero, okay? What does she have? What kind of pencil is it? It's a mechanical pencil, yeah. And so in a lot of countries, people make that distinction. Like, no. They'd be like, no, Liliana, tú no es lápiz, es lapicero. And you're just like, whatever. Same thing. And so when I get to Argentina, to me, a lapicero was a mechanical pencil. And they're like, no, this is a lapicera. I'm like, so you just took pencil, made it feminine, and now it's a pen? And I asked someone who spoke English, and they're like, yeah, actually we did. And I was just like, okay, well, I guess I'm using that, you know, so I learned my 3rd word for pen, you know, type of thing. But bolígrafo, pluma, either one, I don't care. Bolígrafo, pluma, you know. I just taught you a 3rd one, lapicera, go ahead, but nobody uses it outside of Southern South America. But yeah, okay. Let's see. Well, let's look at that guy's desk. He has a bolígrafo. Calculadora. What is a calculadora? Calculator. Okay, I didn't bring one with me. It's on my phone. But if you're taking like a specialty class or like a high-level math class, You get those really fancy ones, okay? So calculadora, salud. El cuaderno, what is a cuaderno? Notebook, okay? Specifically a spiral bound notebook, although, and I noticed, Aaliyah has one, can I point out? See? Some people might also call this a cuaderno, and yeah, okay, it can also be something like this, all right, and stuff like that, okay? But usually, it refers to something like this, okay? So either one of them can be a cuaderno. The other one that's there, and like I said, I'm so glad this room is full of props. El pupitre.
Desk.
Specifically though, what kind of desk?
I don't know what that is.
Student desk.
Student desk. Gracias. You're like, I don't know. I was gonna say, Liliana, you're sitting in it, okay? You're a student desk, okay? Now, obviously they've changed, over the years, but anything that is just your basic chair, writing area, and somewhere to put your crap, all right? As opposed to, because some students might say, my teacher said escritorio. Escritorio is an office desk, like, the big with drawers and, large writing area, as opposed to, these uncomfortable things, okay? El pupitre, all right? My dad used to use, and like I said, my dad was from Mexico. He used to use a word called mesabanco, which I later learned is, maybe you're all too young, except for Alan. The big square things, and you lifted up the lid and you kept all your stuff inside. You're like, I've seen them.
Elementary school.
Oh, really? Okay. I thought it was just, I was going to say, I haven't seen them since like the 3rd or 4th grade. But yeah, those, he's like, that's a mesabanco. A pupitre, he says, is just like a tablet. Like there's nothing, you either have to keep your stuff underneath or on the floor or whatever. Whereas a mesabanco, you lift the lid, you put all your stuff in, then you shut it, and you can angle it. You had always had that little stand thing. And I'm like, okay, whatever, Dad, But yes, pupitre, this is just a table. But if you were to go to my office, escritorio, okay, a big desk, all right? And actually, they have it with the teacher. But moving up a little bit, I don't carry one because I am a walking one, but Alan tiene un diccionario. Dictionary, sí, diccionario. So also useful. El papel. Paper. El papel. Paper. Okay? Now, behind her, I've already said a couple of these words. Escritorio. Escritorio is more of a big desk or an office desk versus a student desk. Okay? Computadora, all right, is more of a desktop computer versus portátil, computadora portátil, okay? La silla, chair, okay? La silla, all right? Even that would be a silla, I guess. Finalmente, kind of, sort of, el marcador, because I don't have a whiteboard. I didn't bring any with me. What is marcador? Marker, yeah. So the dry erase markers that are in every other classroom, okay, el marcador. Behind her, you also have el reloj. Clock, I was going to say, they took them out years ago. But el reloj, please be aware though that in Spanish, we call any timepiece a reloj. So guess what this is? A reloj, okay? If you lived in London, guess what Big Ben is? Reloj, okay? Even if, can I pick up your phone? I promise even if all it's showing is the time, that's a reloj, okay? That is all we refer, any kind of timepiece, all right? We don't make a distinction between clocks and watches and, digital timepieces and whatnot.
I might be getting ahead of myself with the colors. Are we supposed to know that for this chapter?
Sí.
Okay.
Yeah, we're gonna touch them right now. I was saving the best for last. The best for last.
When you,
Okay.
when you ask what time it is, you just say like, como el reloj.
It would be no, ¿qué hora es? Yeah, what hour is it? ¿Qué hora es? We'll get to that too in this chapter. And then, second to last, the person teaching, la profesora. What is la profesora?
Teacher, professor, and
But what gender?
English.
Muy bien. You would not call me la profesora. Thank you very much. I am el profesor. But if Anastasia was the teacher, la profesora. Okay? So, la profesora, female, el profesor, male. And yes, it can mean professor, it can mean teacher, it can mean instructor. Okay? It is also the title. So that's why I said on the first day, address me as Profesor Santos or Senor, okay? And of course, if you have female instructors, Profesora Smith, Profesora Jones, etc. Okay? Now, los colores, just for you, Liliana. What is blanco? Here we go.
White.
Blanco, white. Yes, blanco, white. Okay? And just once again, as another aside, any of you that do shooting, blanco also means target. Okay? So that's like El Blanco, the target. Okay? But anyways, blanco means white. Okay? Negro, black. Okay? The color black, negro. Okay? Rojo, I'm not wearing any home. Rojo, aquí. Rojo, red, rojo. Verde, green. Okay, didn't wear my green today. Verde. Amarillo, yellow, amarillo. Okay, this one's a little harder to say. Anaranjado, orange. Clase, repeat it. Anaranjado. Anaranjado for orange. Now, in Spanish, we use different word for the fruit as for the color. Although they're pretty similar, but it's still different. You can't say an orange, okay? You can't, but it's a different word. Azul, blue, azul, morado,
Purple.
purple, okay, sorry, it took me a second. Morado, and finally marron, brown, okay? Now, any preguntas so far?
Can brown also be cafe? Is that how
I knew someone was going to bring that up, okay? If you go to the next page, just for a second, go to page 24, all right? Brown is a weird one in Espanol because kind of like the word for pen, there's about 4 or 5 different words for brown, okay? Now, don't get escalitiza. The actual word that means brown is marron. Okay, and yes, it has an accent mark. At least I'm pretty sure it does. Yes, it does. Okay, marron. That actually means brown. All right. In a lot of other countries, though, including Mexico, so this is the color I grew up with. People call it either, and I'm going to put this in parentheses because some people say it, some people don't, either color café or just café. Now, what is café? Coffee. People call something coffee colored. All right? We don't actually call it brown. We call it the color of coffee. Because when you take coffee, add a little cream, you get a nice shade of Santos. All right? You get brown. All right? Aaliyah's laughing like, I never thought of it that way. Yeah, okay? So we call it color café. If you are talking about animals, okay? we use the word pardo. Pardo means brown, but only animals. So you would not describe, let's say, your dog as marron or your dog as color café. You would say that your dog is pardo. Okay? And I should have brought it with me. Maybe I will for próxima clase. One of my favorite children's stories, and I have it in Espanol. Oso pardo, ¿qué ves tú? Brown bear, what do you see? Oso pardo, ¿qué ves tú? Veo la clase mirándome a mí. Okay? I see the classroom looking at me. Oh, it would be awesome. It has all the colors too. Anyways, lo siento. All right. The last one. Castaño also means brown, but we only use castaño to describe hair and eyes, or any other body part, but usually it's hair and eyes. All right? So I wouldn't say that Anastasia has pelo, which means hair, marrón. I wouldn't say that she has pelo café. I definitely would not say she has pelo pardo, just call her an animal, all right? But ella tiene pelo castaño, all right? She has brown hair. Same thing with eyes, okay? Yeah, these are brown. So I wouldn't describe Aaliyah's eyes as café or marrón. I'd say, oh, tiene ojos castaño. She has brown eyes, all right? I know, lots of words for brown, lo siento. And this literally has nothing to do with location, other than these, okay? I grew up calling things color café. Usually I just shorten it to café. Once again, when I moved to South America, everybody said marrón, and they laughed at me because I called it coffee colored. And they're like, oh my God, that's so funny. I'm like, fine, shut up, you know, assholes. So it's marrón, caja marrón, this marrón. But then of course they did remind me that no, animals are pardo, and of course body parts are castaño. Okay, so they'd be like, sí, Santos, tiene pelo castaño, tiene, sometimes they'd say that my skin, when it comes to skin color, all right, people will say moreno. Oh, that's another one, sorry. Moreno refers to skin color. So, I would be moreno, all right? I've got brown skin or tan skin.
Does that work for hair color too? Because I learned that for hair color.
Yeah, in other countries, it's also hair color. It means brunette, okay? So I'm trying to see, I don't know, it's blanco, sorry. Okay.
It used to be.
It used to be moreno, okay.
Until I started working here.
Because I was going to say, because even Yusune could be described as morena or Natalia morena, not so much because of their skin color, but because of their hair color. Okay, sorry, you're rubia. All right, so yeah, couldn't call you moreno. And we have a special word for you, Aiden. All right, so I don't often get redheads in class.
Since we're discussing my age, Rita Moreno, is that stage name for her, or is that a common last name?
Moreno, it's pretty common last name.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
She's not just your stage name, dark brown hair Rita.
No.
Okay.
No. And I think with the origin, it's similar to English. Middle Ages when names, when people were taking on surnames. In this case, it might have been a way to describe the hair color or the skin color of the person. Mm-hmm. As it's Rita, the one who's brown, as opposed to Rita Blanco. I've met people with the last name Blanco or even Rubio. Actually, growing up, there was a Rubio family. Marco Rubio, he's far from blonde. But that's how you distinguished, which Rita, Rita Moreno or Rita Rubio, the one that's brown or the one that's, blonde. So, but yeah, no, not a stage name. Okay. Let's go back and finish off some of the other words on page 23. Now, these other words, because they're defined, I will usually not go through them all right? But you are still responsible for knowing, okay? For example, you just had an examen. What is examen? Test or exam, I guess if you want to be fancy, but test, okay? Examen, okay? Lección, ends in I-O-N, accent mark. Lección is whatever lesson I'm teaching. Today I'm teaching vocabulario and colores, okay? La tarea. Tarea, everyone hates this word. Homework, la tarea, sí. Okay? When it comes to other people, all right, otras personas, amigo, friend, amiga, female friend. What if you're talking about friends of both genders?
Los amigos.
Los amigos, yes, you would use the masculine form. Sorry, Anastasia. All right, so amigos, all right? Compañero de clase, classmate, okay? So all of you here are compañeros de clase, all right? I'm using the masculine because I'm talking to not just the gentlemen, all right, but also the ladies, all right? Compañeros de clase, or if somebody asks Liliana, do you know Aaliyah? Sí, es mi compañera de clase de español. Okay, she is my classmate, or we have Spanish class together. Okay, compañera de clase. Compañero de cuarto, those of you that have roommates, and I'm guessing it's probably you that live in the dorms, maybe. If you have a compañero de cuarto, or even if you live off campus and you share an apartment with someone, okay, so compañero de cuarto. The most basic word, hombre. Hombre means man. Okay, so el hombre. Mujer, mujer means woman. La mujer. Okay, so hombre, mujer, okay, hombre, mujer, etc. And then finally, for those of you with significant others, el novio, boyfriend, la novia, girlfriend. Okay, now, fun thing about Espanol, the word for boyfriend, fiancé, and groom is all the same. In Spanish, the word for girlfriend, fiancé, and bride is all the same. It's novia and novio, okay? I had a professor who used to say that language tells you a lot about the culture you're studying. What does this tell you about dating and courtship in the Spanish-speaking world? If the word for girlfriend, fiancé, and bride is all the same. What's the point in dating? Yeah. Okay. Once you introduce someone, once you say, oh, is mi novia, this is my girlfriend, you're practically engaged. I mean, even though you haven't given, Anastasia's like, oh shit. No, even if you haven't given a ring yet or anything, yes, that's the point, is this is the person you've chosen. All right, so yeah, it's a little bit more serious. Now, amongst younger people, it's becoming more like here in Los Estados Unidos, okay, where you're talking and, you know, all that other stuff first. But that's where people sometimes ask me, you know, wait a minute, why is it the same word? Because originally that was the purpose, that was the point, okay? The last thing I want to cover at the very bottom, computadora portátil. In every single country except the one that has to be weird, España, okay? In España, this is ordenador and ordenador portátil, okay? Why the difference? I used to think that the Spanish were just being weird, like with vosotros and their accent. Turns out that because technology goes faster than words, Latin America chose the word of the nearest, I guess, big technological influence, the nearest superpower, which is the United States. So they took the word computadora from computer. The Spanish did the same, except the country next to them is France. The French word for computer, ordinateur. So they just took ordinateur and made it Spanish, ordenador. That was it. So I guess if we were closer to France, and by we I mean Mexico, I guess we would have called it ordinateur also. Okay, but because we're next to los Estados Unidos, computadora. All right. So if you ever go to Spain, or if you meet someone from Spain, they'll say, "Oh, me gusta tu ordenador," and you're gonna sit there going, "Damn you, Santos, you taught me the wrong word." No, they're the only country that calls it ordenador. Okay. We are going